What is a fact that can possibly save your life? If a tornado looks like it isn't moving, it's heading right towards you. Maybe not your life, but someone else's. Most drowning is silent. The victim quite literally cannot speak to call for help, as they are too desperately trying to get any air at all. Drowning can look simply like a person bobbing in the water until they no longer come back up. Keep a watch out, especially if it's kids. This is a New Zealand specific one, but all emergency numbers work here. The official number is 111, but 999, 000, 911, etc. will all work. This is so that tourists can still reach emergency services easily. Double check advices in this thread with your own research. If you are ever buried in rubble, earthquake, tornado, building collapse etc., don't shout. You'll lose your voice and waste energy. Instead, grab a piece of rubble and knock in patterns of threes. Humans are expert pattern makers and pattern noticers. Rescuers will hear the distinctive pattern sound and go toward it. Once you can hear people, then use your voice. Edit. Cite my source. I learned this from the podcast The Big One. It's about how to realistically survive a massive earthquake day by day with certain scenarios. Do not delay getting out of a burning building. The flames are not what will kill you. The smoke will get very thick and toxic very quickly, and you will not be able to see the way to get out. All firearms are loaded. Even if they are not, they are. If you get impaled or stabbed, leave the object in, and call 911. Or your country's equal. That object is keeping all the blood on the inside of your body. If your car goes into the water, open the door or roll down the windows immediately. If you don't, the pressure differential will hold them shut, and you'll have to wait until the car fills up with water. Edit. A lot of people are telling me that on newer cars, the headrest poles can be used to break a window. I'm not sure if that's true, because headrests I've seen are just made of ordinary steel, and the ends aren't particularly pointy. A dedicated window breaker will have a sharp point made of an ultra hard material. Does anyone know if newer headrests are actually made for this? Edit 2. It seems headrests are not designed specifically to break windows, but they can in a pinch if the proper technique is used, and they can actually be removed. Putting the point in the corner of the window and slamming the headrest. If you ever almost drown to the point of throwing up water or passing out, even if you feel 100% fine, get to a hospital. Your lungs can unwittingly self-fill up with fluid over the next few hours. If someone is in trouble and you want to leap in to save them, make sure you have a way to get out yourself. I recently saw a video of a drowning man. Another man jumped in to try and save him. Instead, both drowned. If you smell a fish smell in your house, some people also report a urine-like smell for no reason. 9 times out of 10 it means there's an electrical fire. If you get kidnapped, try to leave as much traces of yourself behind as you can. For example, leave bits of clothing behind, or scratch your arms a lot to leave dead skin behind. This way you increase your chances that a search dog could pick up your scent and find you. When having a heart attack, you don't swallow aspirin, you chew it. Chest compressions are important regardless of mouth to mouth. Edit. Wow, thanks guys. I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. There are many questions in the comments. Please keep in mind I'm not a medical expert. I was trained for first aid and emergency response in the outdoors in New Zealand, but do not have any professional medical training. I encourage everyone who can to get a first aid certificate, or at least some training. I generally follow the doctor's ABC steps. D. Danger. Is there anything around that can put you in danger? Our response is the person responsive talk to them, or gently rub their collarbone. S. Send for help. Call emergency services. Make sure someone stays on the phone, and someone with the person. A airways check if the airways are free. Sometimes there is just something stuck there. Tilting the head back and free and open airways. Be breathing. Is the person breathing? Holding you here close to their mouth and nose is one of the most effective ways to notice if someone is not breathing. See circulation. Check their pulse. There are 2 main ways of doing this. There is a vein on the underside of the wrist, and one on the underside of the jawline. Once you have checked the person in this way, start chest compression. The location for this is the center of the chest just under the armpits on the sternum. For adults use both hands, for children use one hand, and babies either one hand or a few fingers. The chest does need to be pressed quite hard, about half a thumb to a thumb of depth. Obviously use common scene. Use a song to keep in time. Staying alive or another one bites the dust work well. If you are comfortable, you can give breath to breath twice for every 30 compressions. Do not do fear. If you are alone, keep the chest compressions going. The compressions are the important part as they keep the circulation of oxygen to the brain going. You may have to take turns with someone, it can be exhausting. Ask if there is a defibrillator around, it should have further instructions for use. If you don't feel comfortable using it, don't use it. Chest compressions are the important part. Even if you don't have the training, follow these steps. ILT saves lives. If the ocean is retreating, there is a tsunami coming. Evacuate the beach immediately. I read somewhere, if a stranger gets in your car and tells you to take them somewhere, drive into something like a lamppost or anything. You won't be useful to them anymore because the car is damaged and you've drawn attention to them by crashing the car. You'll damage your car, but you'll have your life and your bank account. Someone at my college did this a few years ago. The guy told him to drive to the bank and withdraw all his money, so he drove into a lamppost and saved himself. If you're being tied up, puff yourself out as much as possible, so it'll be easier to wiggle out of. Tense muscles. Inhale deep and stretch out your arms and legs to make more space. Maybe not your life, but possibly others. In an emergency situation, pick one person to specifically call 911. In lots of stressful or emergency situations, there are significant delays in calling 911. Some people assume that others will call 911, while others panic/freeze up and don't think to call 911. If you're faced with a situation where 911 is necessary, pick a specific person to contact 911. Soy sauce is deadly if consumed in large quantities at once, so no stupid soy sauce dares or challenges, please. Never pull out a gun or any weapon unless you are prepared to kill or die. Weapons escalate the situation to another level. If you have a weapon, intend to use it and risk having it used on you. This one's pretty obvious, but if someone's grabbing you, it's usually easy to break the hold by grabbing their thumb. Can't hold crap so well without your thumb. I'm glad I haven't had the opportunity to use this next one, but I've been taught that if someone is trying to assault you or kidnap you, and you manage to get him on the ground, prop his leg up on something, kneecap facing upward, and freaking jump on that goddamn knee. Can't chase or kidnap you if he can't freaking walk. Edit to add, the thumb thing I've found great when trying to break a hold without doing damage. Lots of people have been talking about pinkies instead when you're fine with damage, which is great advice. Also, don't do the second one if you can help it. End edit. You can perform the Heimlich maneuver on yourself. Apparently you are supposed to put your thumb knuckle under your rib cage and jump onto a flat surface or the back of a chair. Or you know what, better yet, go take a CPR course. Don't sue me PLZ. I'm not a doctor. I just did a Google search for facts that will save your life and copied the first result. r/confessions. Either way, make sure you re-swallow your food after chewing it some more, cause that burger was 6.99 and you ain't gonna let the man take you out. If you need to call 911 and you're too busy helping the victim, CPR, specifically point at someone and say you call 911 instead of somebody call 911. It snaps a person out of bystander's effect and they act. If you're visiting an unfamiliar location like a cinema or concert hall, take a few moments to look around for the nearest exit. Then pick out a second as a backup in case the first becomes blocked or cut off. If something happens, especially in a crowded public place, most people's first instincts are to turn around and head for the main entrance, but this is not always the closest, safest or easiest way out. 9 times out of 10 there will usually be a closer exit. Probably said already, but bad CPR is better than no. Even if you're unskilled, you literally cannot make the person more dead, as being dead is what predicates CPR. If you have a puncture wound to the chest or abdomen, the first thing you should do is place a non-porous, think plastic bag, object over the wound. It will help prevent tension pneumothorax. A tourniquet is quite simple to put on and can save a life if there is no other option. Place close to the site or near, not on, a joint. Never remove a tourniquet once placed, as clots can travel to the brain and lungs. Also mark the time you put it on. If you're at an accident scene and have no medical training, something you can do is collect information and help calm victims. This is quite helpful as it assists the paramedics with triage and keeps potential injured persons' heart rates down. Alternatively, learn how to hold C-spine. If your car ever gets stuck on the train tracks, look for a sign on the crossing arms. This is the Railway 911 and has a number to call to stop traffic as well as your exact location. If you've been cut deeply, pack gauze into the wound as tightly as possible, then hold pressure. If you are driving in inclement weather, pay attention to truckers. They are often warned ahead of time of wrecks and things due to their radios. Also, never drive in the rain without headlights. Not for yourself, but someone else. First aid in general is not meant to be the only form of aid a person receives. If you give someone CPR, or use a defibrillator on them, or they have a severe allergic reaction requiring an EpiPen, you should still call emergency services immediately. These are just temporary measures to buy time until a medical professional can treat them more thoroughly. Similarly, chewing aspirin for a suspected heart attack still requires emergency services to treat the issue or rule out complications. When you're in Australia, mostly on beaches, do not touch the tiny adorable octopus with blue rings. It's venomous and will usually kill you. In fact, don't touch any snakes or spiders or marine life. A lot of it is poisonous, venomous, or will kill you in other ways. Don't let this stop you from coming to Australia though. Most of the humans are pretty nice. Edit, word mix up. Edit 2. Holy crap, my biggest comment is about not poking Australian animals. If you have to perform CPR, you can follow the beat of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees or Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. Not life-saving but FKN useful. If you have a splinter and can't get it out, cut off a tiny piece of new soap, put over where it is, and put plaster/band-aid over it. Next morning, peel off the plaster, and whatever the splinter is stuck in the soap. If you're lost in the wilderness and need something sharp to hunt/defend with, make a spear by hardening a soaked branch/stick over a fire. The water prevents the stick from burning, but the heat from the fire forces the branch to condense and harden, making them more durable. Okay, so if you encounter a wild bear, try to look as big as possible. Stand on the tips of your feet, raise your hands high up, and look the bear straight into the eyes. Then start talking in a really deep voice, like really Darth Vader-like. So deep that nobody would even understand what are you saying. The bear will look at you for a while, probably do some noises. In this case, do not scream. You will scare the bear this way and he might attack, but eventually the bear will leave. This is the only thing that works on bears. You cannot outrun them, because they can run for much longer than you, and unlike boars, they are very good tree climbers, so don't try escaping on a tree. This doesn't work with grizzlies and polar bears though, only with black bears and some brown ones. Some more facts that can help you survive head on with an animal. With the bear, you wanna be as big as possible. It's the opposite when facing gorillas. They are very proud animals, and they don't want to see any type of resistance. Also, gorilla is the last animal you would like to fight. It can outrun you, overpower you, and it can climb trees way better than you. However, when you meet wild gorilla, you wanna crawl down and look the smallest you possibly can. Laying belly up also helps, because animals see that as a surrender sign. With other monkeys, you probably won't be able to overpower them, but they won't have interest in you unless you have something they like. Just don't look them in the eyes. Sharks, same as bears. You wanna look as big as you can, so they think you won't fit into their mouth. However, they are not aggressive creatures, and unless absolutely necessary, don't try to swim away from them. Even the best swimmer of the world is as fast as retarded seal, and those are sharks' favorite food. Crocodilians, don't face them in water. Once they grab you in water, it's pretty much over. Only thing you can then try is poking their eye. This works with a lot of animals that get grasp on you, including sharks. However, this makes them either flee or attack, so do this only when absolutely necessary. When facing crocodilians on the dryland, try running in zigzag pattern. Don't run straight ahead, because they are amazing runners, but they should lose their interest in you fast enough. However, if you are chased into a corner with a crocodilian, try and jump on their snout, closing their mouth. They have very few comb bite force. However, it's very easy to hold their mouth shut with just one hand. Once you do that, you can move the crocodilian as you wish. Face him back to the water, release him and run as fast as possible away from him. Rhinos have very poor eyesight, so they won't see you approaching them. So when they notice you, they get very scared and will start chasing you. They are much better runners than crocodilians, so outrunning them isn't an option. However, they are not really good in changing directions mid-run, so try the zigzag pattern and you should be able to shake them off easily. Birds, it's weird, but even birds can cause trouble. I'm not talking about ostriches or emus, but about regular parrots. I have faced this issue only in Australia, but it can happen anywhere else. Parrots will attack you only if you are not looking, even though you can easily overpower them. Those sharp beaks and claws are nothing comfortable. So the way to prevent parrot attacks is putting a pair of sunglasses on the back of your head. This really works. The parrots will think you are watching them and therefore won't attack. I tried this, and it works. Snakes, just don't approach them. When you find one, and you don't know if it is venomous or not, just walk away from it. If you are bitten by one, find someone who can help, probably a hospital. Just tie your leg, arm, wherever you were bitten by a piece of clothing few centimeters above the bite, so the venom doesn't spread. Hornets, this is just a cool fact. Hornets are angered by the white color. You might think that taking off your white shirt might work. However, remember that part of your eyes is white, and they are easily angered by it. So when facing hornets, walk away from them. Don't look at them. Just go. You can even run in this scenario. That's probably all. If you have any other animal related question, just ask. Those are just the most useful or interesting facts about surviving facing wild animals. Lava is very hot, don't touch it. If you call 911, even though you don't have signal, it will work. If you get caught in a current, don't swim towards the shore and instead swim parallel to it. Edit. People seem to be confused, but I should clarify that you swim parallel to the shore. Never ever place an extension ladder on a smooth concrete floor and climb it unless the feet have rubber pads attached to them. Otherwise, there is a very real risk that as you climb higher, your weight will cause the feet to slide out from under you, because there is very little friction between aluminum and smooth finished concrete. I've climbed ladders countless times, and then one day I did this and it almost killed me. Shattered my wrist and almost broke my back. Life forever altered. This obviously won't work all the time, but if someone grabs you by the arm, don't pull away, twist your arm instead. Your arm goes nearly all directions, but the wrist won't. If a girl you don't know suddenly adds you on Facebook and wants to see your peen, that's a scam. They'll blackmail you. If you have a heart attack, cough. A paramedic taught me that, and I'm not sure about the science behind it, but he brought up 3 instances where it saved someone's life, so I guess it works. If you are depressed or suicidal, there are many paths back to life which are available to you. It means something to feel this way, and it is understandable that this happens given what you went through. You are still you. You aren't broken beyond repair, and you aren't bad for feeling what you feel. People don't get like this for no reason. It isn't permanent, especially when it feels like it is. Once the reason for the feeling is known and seen, and held with enough love, it becomes way easier to be compassionate to oneself, and address the wounds we are carrying. It becomes way easier to get help, which in turn makes many other steps easier still. We isolate ourselves because we feel ashamed for turning out this way. We were taught that this is how we make ourselves good. I have good news for you here. We don't need to do this to be good. We were born good. It is still there, as long as you keep with it at whatever pace works for you, and show yourself some strong genuine kindness and love in whatever way matters to you. You will progress out. It does happen a lot and increasingly often. Nobody is beyond healing. Progress starts slow as sun melts ice. and with consistent exposure to the light of our attention and love, it will melt completely. Our cold selves pushed and locked away so long ago will come back. Crying is a very good thing to do. Even when alone. Ice within melts into tears. It flushes the sinuses and eyes, releases endorphins, and expresses the hurt we have been carrying all this way. We can set it down. We can look at it with kindness. And we can progress into a space where this experience is a strength far more than an injury. I have been in this state for a very long time. Over a decade. I chose to sit here and study it so I could show others the way out and warn them of the deception depression will use. The lie that the pain won't end. It was very hard to do alone. And I was not always alone. Beware the serpent. The lie of unending pain. Every storm ends. And after every flood there comes a bloom. You are not beyond help. Here, have a lifeline. If you have an iPhone, pressing the lock screen button 5 times rapidly will initiate a call to emergency services. Handy for if you don't want to show you have a phone. By removing it from your pocket, it will dial automatically. Edit. Older iPhones have a home button and button that locks the phone. Newer iPhones only have sound control and a button to lock the phone. Using sound control and the lock button will bring up the swipe options for emergency, medical ID and turning off the phone, while pressing lock in rapid succession will initiate a loud noise and a 3-second countdown to call emergency services automatically. Another user pointed out that you can turn off the loud noise in settings. Don't eat 10,000,000 bananas at once. You'll die of the radiation. If you drive over water frequently, keep a seatbelt cutter/window breaker in your car, just in case. If stranded in the wilderness without food, do not eat mushrooms as a food source. 90% of them will kill you, or make you violently ill, and some species of poisonous mushrooms imitate or look nearly indistinguishable from edible ones. So unless you are a mycologist, the fungus are not fun guys in a survival situation. Do not inflate your life jacket before exiting the aircraft. This is especially true in case of emergency water landings. As any air safety expert would tell you, inflating your life jacket inside a rapidly submerging airplane will cause you to float up to the cabin ceiling, unable to move without help. The right thing to do is to take a deep breath and swim out of the airplane with your life jacket still deflated. Only when you're safely out of the plane should you pull the inflation cord. If lost in the woods, always follow water downstream. Never dig straight down. If someone falls to very cold water, you need to heat them up periodically. Putting them next to a fire or such will kill them. If you witness an accident, never remove a person's helmet unless it is essential to protect their airway. Doing so could exacerbate a spinal or brain injury. Furthermore, once the person is out of direct danger, ensure that they are laid flat on the ground and are kept in place. They may be moving around and trying to get up if they are conscious, but moving could exacerbate a spinal injury. Multiple people may be needed to hold down a person who is in shock after an accident. One person should focus on holding the head in place. Always. Never touch someone's open wounds unless it is necessary to do so to stop bleeding, and even then, try to find a barrier before touching with your bare hands. Especially never touch or apply pressure to open fractures. If an injury is bleeding profusely, hold pressure with some kind of occlusive if possible, and tourniquet above the level of injury, but never on a joint. Always above or below. If the injury is on an extremity, tourniquets are probably tighter than you expect them to be, and remember the time you put it on. Date the fabric or person if possible. If a finger or toe is chopped off, hold pressure and tourniquet the limb. Find the lost finger/toe, and put it in a Ziploc bag. Surround the bag with towels or napkins, and put it inside of another bag of ice. The idea is to ice it to preserve the cells, but keep it from direct contact, so it doesn't become frostbitten. If done in a timely manner, said finger/toe may be able to be saved. CPR crash course. CPR is best done as early as possible, but remember that it is not necessary if they are breathing. Check for breathing, then call for help and a need, if possible. If you are alone, call 911 first. A 911 operator can guide you through it. If you don't know what to do, ensure that the person's airway is protected. especially if you are giving breaths. We call this the head tilt, chin lift. If the person has been in an accident, do not lift the head, but simply thrust the jaw forward to give breaths, to protect their spine. Compressions should not be done too fast or too slow. Do it to the theme staying alive. If you aren't sure of the pace, rule of thumb is 2 fingers for an infant, 1 hand for a small child, and both hands for adults. Try to compress about 2 inches, 1.5 for infants, and allow the chest to fully recoil back to its normal position between compressions. This allows air to fill the lungs and simulate breathing. If a small child or infant requires CPR, you may put your whole mouth over their lips/nose to create a good seal if you are giving breaths. Children who need CPR usually need it due to a failure in their airway or lungs, not in the heart. Always check to ensure they are not choking first. If they are, do not sweep your fingers in their mouth unless you can safely remove the object. You may just lodge it further if you aren't careful. Always move your extremities frequently. Get up and stretch, or move them in place if you have to. Blood clots can, and do, kill very quickly. When de-escalating a situation with an angry or anxious person, speak slowly and calmly, and make yourself as non-threatening as possible. Do not threaten them, or block any exits. Empathize with them. If they are a direct threat to you, you may need to go along with their plan until you can safely get out. If someone is having a panic attack, try to get them to focus on something very intently. The feel of grass under their fingers, identifying a particular color that stands out to them in your environment, etc. Telling them to calm down only makes it worse. They need to feel safe and realize on their own that they are not in any immediate danger. It's a good idea to always keep a basic first aid kit and survival kit. Think water, granola bars, knife/tools, light, flint, in your car or backpack. Lastly and most importantly, be kind and helpful to everyone. You never know when it might come back around to you. If you've got a wound on you, even a bug bite, and see a red streak from it following on of your veins, you have blood poisoning. Co-poisoning exists, and buildings should be tested. If you start feeling dizzy, nauseated, lightheaded, dull headache, go outside for 10 meters. Go back to the room you started feeling this. If it starts again, it is most likely carbon monoxide poisoning. Also, if someone has lost consciousness, get them the frick out of there. If there's an earthquake, do not go down or up any stairs. They collapse. Vaccines work. If you're driving and your accelerator pedal gets stuck in the down position, meaning your brakes won't work and you will only continue to increase speed, do not turn off the engine. Your steering wheel will lock up and you will very likely crash. Instead, turn on your hazards and shift into neutral to let your car gradually decrease in speed. Airplane pressure rises and the masks drop. Put your damn mask on first, as instructed. At 35,000 feet you have 60 seconds of useful consciousness. Make it count. While panthers attack their prey from behind. If you encounter a wild panther, don't turn back. Before you head off to that wild party, go ahead and decide it up front whether you plan to drink or do other drugs, exclusive or, because most uppers will get people so high, or tripping or rolling, or whatever that they'll literally die of alcohol poisoning without noticing as they continue to drink. Alcohol also doesn't generally mix well with other varieties of drugs. Also, no, you can't drive. Get an Uber. If you take antidepressants, don't take cough suppressants. Cough suppressants increase the amount of serotonin in your brain, which is what antidepressants do too. If you have too much serotonin, you can get what's called serotonin syndrome. The more medication you've taken, the worse it could be, and can possibly be fatal. It's not fun. Trust me, I had to learn all this the hard way. Oh, another. Women often experience heart attacks different than men. One of the most common symptoms is jaw pain. Shortness of breath and nausea also are common. Chest pain is still something to look for, but look for these other symptoms too.